Hi, I'm Missy Beach, Senior Financial Advisor here at Wiser Wealth Management. Today, let's talk about the pros and cons of marriage. Yes, it's a path that some of us still take these days, even though more than half end in divorce, because there's some important considerations to take financially before you take the plunge. So let's talk first of all about the reasons why marriage is a good thing for your finances. So you can file a joint tax return. Well, why is that better? You're putting two incomes on one tax return. Well, let's take a look at $300,000 of income. For a single tax filer, guess what? You're in the 35% tax bracket with that $300,000 of income. But if you're that same $300,000 of income and you're a married couple, perhaps one earning spouse and maybe one stay-at-home spouse, that $300,000 of income is only taxed at 24%. Yay for being married. There's one perk. You also may qualify for additional deductions and credits for being married. Secondly, you just have shared expenses. Instead of one of you paying rent, water, electricity, gas, and so on, there's now two of you. Ideally, with two incomes, paying these joint responsibilities. So instead of that young new adult out there living on your own, you've got a partner in crime. Your expenses are cut in half. Not a bad deal. With insurance benefits, you may get a break because you're part of a married couple. Insurance carriers look at that favorably. Another item are retirement benefits. So when you pass away, your spouse inherits your IRA or 401k with better rules than not being a spouse. You can treat that IRA as your own and have it pay out over an extended period of time, unlike a non-spouse. So another pro for being married. Also, in terms of Social Security, it's always a household spousal decision when you're looking at claiming benefits. So as a spouse, you may not be the primary wage earner, but you can claim Social Security benefits off of your spouse's record. Here's another tip. Even if you're married and you get divorced, as long as you've stuck it out for 10 years, you can claim on your ex-spouse's Social Security record. So even if it's not a happy union, stick it out for 10 years and you can get Social Security based on your spouse's record. So also in estate planning, there's more benefits. You can set up spousal trusts for each other. You can port your estate tax exemption to your spouse. There's all kinds of unique things that only spouses can do. So those are the really great things that can do with being married. But then we have to look at the dark side. Because when you get married, it's not just you, it's you and your spouse. And sometimes your spouse's debt that may come with them into the marriage. So recognize that before you get married. Are you willing to take not only your spouse, but your spouse's debt? So think long and hard about that. Next, divorce. So before you take the plunge, make sure that he or she is the right person to take the plunge with, because divorce isn't cheap. And when, tensions flare on either side, divorce gets even more expensive. So avoid that at all costs and just either don't get married or stay married. Next is loss of independence. So some people have this great fear about marrying finances together. So not just marrying lives, but marrying financial lives. But what I have to say on that, studies show that actually couples who marry their finances have better long-lasting relationships than couples who keep finances completely separate. So if you are debating with your spouse whether or not to combine accounts, 100% combine them. because this forces communication. And that's one of the takeaways from this discussion is if you are married or even if you are just partners at this point, communication is key. And so whether it's talking about debt, whether it's talking about savings, whether it's talking about experiences or things, make sure you're communicating with your spouse about how you perceive and approach these different items and what your priorities and goals are. So if you do this prior to the union, it's going to make that union that much more enjoyable as opposed to butting heads once you're already there and finding out you might be on completely different pages. But having that joint account helps you face those decisions together. It's okay to still have your separate checking or savings accounts to have a little fun money and to do a little gift buying for each other, but make sure that your main account is a joint account so you're approaching those big family decisions together. Approaching those financial goals as one unit as opposed to disparate entities is another tip. And then finally, making sure you're doing regular financial reviews. So as a married couple, it's really important, even when you're starting out as young newlyweds with zero money in the bank, start your financial goals, whether it's just starting a budget as newlyweds. And then it becomes budgeting for a newborn. Then it becomes budgeting for, 401k savings. And the goals get loftier and loftier as the years go by. But I'm here to tell you that marriage has both pros and cons, but the pros definitely outweigh the cons as long as you have good communication. So make that your strategy and forge forward and have a great relationship with your partner and communicate about your finances. So if you have any questions or need help from your wiser advisor, we're always here for you. Thanks and have a great day.